Hey there, welcome to Hiker Homily. This episode, I'm going to talk about trail magic. Who's it for? Because I see it asked online. There are some folks out there who are a little unsure of it. They feel a little strange if they're not, for example, if you're on the Pacific Crest Trail, but you're not doing Mexico to Canada, you're doing the Mexican border to pick a place. Uh, uh, Warner Springs. Let's go with Warner Springs. That's 110 miles and things like that. So, a question would be, so I'm a section hiker. I'm doing the first 110 miles of Pacific Crest Trail. Can I use the trail magic that's out there, the caches and stuff? Okay? In a general answer, yes. Most trail angels, when it comes to the caches especially, they are not out there policing who's using them. Now, if you're a day hiker and you've filled your water bottles and you're only going to do, say, 10, 15 miles that day, and you're going to get right off the trail and stuff like that, unless you're in the middle of an emergency, you have completely miscalculated and you are showing signs of dehydration and issues like that, heat stroke or something like that, and you just need water because you've run out. Okay, you find a cache, then use it. It's an emergency, okay? But for the most part, if you're a day hiker, it's bad form for you to get into the water caches and trail angel caches and stuff that are left on the trail. But if you are a section hiker, well, then yeah, you're hiking. You're 110 miles is at least a week. For some people like me, it's a lot more than a week out there. It's probably close to 10 days. And you're hauling those miles and stuff like that, and they're just like with the through hiker in certain areas, you're going to be pushing for water. You don't want to carry 8 liters of water in your backpack for this long section that you have to do. And just because you're a section hiker doesn't mean that this section is any easier, right? Now, yeah, you're going to get off the trail at some other point sooner than a through hiker would, or maybe for a 0 day or something like that. But yeah, you still need the water caches. So yeah, go ahead and use them. And that's as far as like the caches that are out there and things like that. Now, there are trail angels who set up like stations at trailheads and things where they'll set up a big cooler with a bunch of things, and they'll be cooking actual food. Sometimes it's pancakes, sometimes it's other things, depends on what time of the day. Burgers, hot dogs, they'll do different things. They'll set up these really nice stations basically at trailheads and things like that. In that case, the trail angel themselves are going to set up the rules. Maybe there are a few who will have rules that say no section hikers, and they'll make that clear. That's up to them. For the most part, they're not asking because they don't care. A hiker is a hiker as far as they're concerned. Whether you're doing all 2,650 miles of the Pacific Crest Trail, or all the mileage of the AT, or all of the CDT, or you're only doing 500 or 200 or 100, when you come through their station, for the most part, they're going to welcome you and let you have that kind of stuff. So really, the trail angel stuff, whether it's a cache or a station like that, it really comes down to the hiker etiquette of what do you need. Now, if you're coming through and you've got a trail angel there and they're cooking great things and they're just offering food, they have plenty of food. They've calculated it out. Awesome. Have a hamburger, have a hot dog, have pancakes, whatever they're making, go for it, do it, have some spaghetti. I've seen all kinds of stuff like that out there from trail angels setting up stations. And like I say, if they're going to have any specific rules on who gets to eat, they'll set them up there. But for the most part, in general, most of the trail angels I've seen, they're not making any distinction between section hiker and through hiker. Okay, if you're going through. Now, again, if you're a day hiker and you don't say anything and you just take a meal, that's kind of bad form. It's kind of rude, because that could mean, because these trail angels, none of them are rich. They're not just throwing money out there and stuff like that. They have a set amount of food they have with them. So you go in there and say he's making hamburgers for everybody, grilling hamburgers. He's got a set amount of hamburgers. Okay, so you as a day hiker coming through, and you're going to be done with the trail in 2 hours anyway, but you go ahead and have a hamburger. Well, that means maybe an hour or 2 hours later, this guy's out of hamburgers because you ate one or two, and the couple of people that came in didn't get one. and they're through hiking, and it would have been nice for them to get that nice meal. See what I mean? So day hikers, don't do that. That's bad form. Let the through hikers and the section hikers have the food and things like that. And same thing, like I say, in the water caches and stuff, that's not for you, day hikers. It's not an elitist thing. It just makes sense that you've got people who are doing all these long distances. If you're just doing the distance for a day and you're getting off the trail, you are not worrying about how much water you had to carry, because you're not carrying all the other gear. You're not carrying a tent. You're not carrying sleeping gear. You're not carrying cooking gear, any of that kind of stuff. You should have extra room in your pack to carry enough water to keep you going. You don't need a water cache. Where a through hiker or a section hiker, they're carrying all that extra gear and they are going to need it. Okay? So there you go. Hiker etiquette. Going further with the hiker etiquette thing. Number one, only take stuff if you need it. Even if you're a section or a through hiker. If you're walking through, you come upon a water cache, but you know that you've got friends waiting for you 2 miles down the road and they're going to have a full supply for you. You've just kind of worked that out, that there's a spot that they could find and they've let you know, hey, we're here, we've got food, we've got water, we're going to resupply you and stuff like that. Probably best that you leave that cache alone then, because somebody else coming along who doesn't have a support team or something like that is going to probably need that water, because especially in the desert section, there's big chunks that, you know, aside from carrying a huge amount of water, it's not out there. There's you know, some of the streams have dried up and things like that. So if you need it, take it. If you don't need it, then you really shouldn't, and things like that. So so that's hiker etiquette. The other hiker etiquette to understand, because like I said, there's no codified laws or rules to this kind of thing. Just like several other things in hiking, you know, like trail names and stuff like that. Some people like to say that there's a rule, you only use it for this, you only get your trail name this way. That's not true. There's no laws that say this is how things have to be done. It's the same thing with this kind of thing. So again, your need and things like that. But there are a couple of basic courtesy things, and that's really what it is the key is not that there's any kind of laws or rules. The key is that you are using basic courtesy and respect for other people, for your fellow hikers and things like that. And so that means you really should be appreciative if you come upon a trail angel who's got a station set up at a trailhead and things like that. Not entitled, okay? None of these trail angels have to do what they do. They don't. They do it because they're either former hikers or they have a lot of respect for you hikers. And if they want to help out in some way, it kind of helps them, you know, relive the trail, or, you know, they understood how hard it was when they did it and things like that. So they're trying to help out in some way. And so it's ridiculous when I hear stories, and we do hear them, of hikers that come in and piss and moan that they really wanted a Pepsi, but all that's in the cooler is Coke and 7-Up. Too bad. Either shut the hell up and don't get a soda, or drink Coke and 7-Up. Sorry that your favorite brand isn't there, but that's just the way it goes. The trail angels are going to buy what the trails are going to, and most of the time it's not a brand thing, it's just that's what was on sale at the time. They could afford to get more of this particular soda because it was on sale, and the more they had, the more they would have to give out. That's usually the logic behind what they're bringing and things like that, okay? So acting entitled, like, you know, because you're through hiking, it means people should just be handing you things and serving you. No, that's not how it works. You need to get out of yourself, and for crying out loud. So don't be entitled. Be appreciative for what you do get, not piss and moan about what you don't get and things like that. If the trail angels have set up like a rule on how they do things, they have the station set up and things like that, but they say, okay, the line starts over there, please do not do this and that, please wash your hands first, I have a station over there for hand wash, and you just kind of walk right up, cut in front of people with your dirty grubby hands and start grabbing and stuff like that. What a jerk. Okay, so, you know, be a grown-up. Yes, we do weird things when we're out there alone on the trail. It's kind of a different world out there. But when you're back on the trailheads and the trail angel has set up a nice thing and tells you we're in a line here and use the hand washes to do this, do that, just do it. Or keep walking. don't be argumentative. Don't do whatever the hell you want. Again, the trail angels don't have to do what they do at all. So it's a privilege. Act like it, and deal with that. And make sure you're courteous to other hikers in the situation. Again, this goes back to the whole thing of need. If I come upon a water cache and there's only, say, 3 liters of water left, I've got 2 liters in my pack, and I know that's going to be enough till the next water source, because I'm going to camp tonight by a stream that I know from a such and such app that I'm using that the stream is flowing, there is water there, and that's only another 5-6 miles away. I've got 2 liters of water. That should be plenty. But the hiker that comes into the cache with me at the same time, by coincidence, is down to half a liter of water. That's all they've got. I'm going to let them have what's at the cache, and I'll just move on because I have plenty of water. Again, it's up to need and things, and I'm going to be courteous to this other hiker. His need is greater, or her need is greater than what mine is, because I have more water. Okay, so just things like that. Let me see if I missed anything on my notes. Making specific requests. Don't do that. Again, you're being entitled. Hey, this is really great spread here, but do you happen to have a such and such specific type of coffee? No, if you don't see it out there, it's not there. Again, take what's offered there and what you can get. Respect any rules and procedures that the Trail Angels have communicated to people. Be courteous to your fellow hikers. That's really about it. In a nutshell, that's how you should be handling Trail Angel stuff. And that includes the Trail Angels who haven't set up a station and don't do caches, but like have opened up their property. We have stories of a church in a certain town who have said, yes, hikers are welcome, you can sleep in the back. And then Thru-Hikers turned the back area of this church into this crazy laundry hanging all over the property, all over the back porch of the church, and they've hung strings everywhere and they've hanging things up. Now I get it, things get wet, you want them to dry off and stuff like that, but you need to ask and check first, because in this case the church was basically offering you a place to sleep. That's the person running it was offering a place to sleep. Probably didn't know hikers very well, and so was completely shocked and kind of appalled that underwear was hanging up behind his church and things like that for this and that, and unfortunately when the hikers left there was trash left all over the ground and things like that. Don't be that way. That's not right. And I know they're not operating anymore, but there was a famous Trail Angel house in a certain town who had very specific rules for meals, that you didn't hover over this, you didn't put your hands over this. Had certain rules on how food was served. You're going to use these utensils, you're going to do it this way. And she had a little stick that if you did things the wrong way, she'd give you a little rap with the stick, say, no, don't hold your hands over like that, don't do that, and things like that. Don't put the plate over this and that. It's their place. That's the rules they set, so follow the rules. It's that simple. It doesn't have to be a little station set up at a trailhead or a cache or something like that. If even if it's a Trail Angel that has rules in their house that they've opened up to hikers, follow the rules. You're again, it's a privilege. They don't have to do that and things like that. So Trail Angels dealing with trail magic and caches and Trail Angels when they set up stations. Again, it's basic respect and courtesy. Don't be entitled. And for the most part, unless they specifically say otherwise, and I have never seen one say it, section hikers, yep, you can dig in just as much as the Thru-Hikers can, because you're still hiking a long haul. Most section hikers are doing at least 50 miles, if not more. Most people under that are they're doing like an overnight or something like that, and they really don't need those extra caches and stuff like that. They're doing a day hike or a 1 or 2 night backpack trip, and you should be able to carry supplies for that. You shouldn't need to dig into the caches unless it's an emergency. Again, emergencies, yes, things happen. That's what you have to do. But be courteous to your fellow hikers. Be courteous to those Trail Angels. And that's really how it is. Section hiker, Thru-Hiker, they usually don't make the distinction. Go for it. So that's my take on trail magic and trail angels and how you're supposed to behave. It's silly we have to say things like that, but unfortunately, like I said, we do have reports of hikers out there, and it's not the majority, but they're out there. We're just entitled punks. And it's like, what are you doing? That's Hiker Homily for this time. Any comments, any trail angel, trail magic you'd like to talk about or give a shout out to, go for it. As usual, comments down below. Any other place I post this, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, anything like that. It's also on Patreon. You go to my Patreon page, you do not have to subscribe or pay money to see the videos. I put them on there for free. If you want to donate through Patreon to me, awesome, but it is not required to see the videos. Patreon for me is kind of a it's a chance for people to donate if they want to, but also kind of a backup to posting the videos like I do here on YouTube, just in case something goes on with YouTube. Patreon is there. You can also see the videos, and that's about it. And also, as always, hikingforhealthca@gmail.com. That's about it, and thanks a lot. We'll see you next time.